Hey everyone, I just don't know what happened there. I think there was something wrong with the internet or something, so hopefully. It's so stupid. I don't know why that happened. I think it just completely ended my stream for some reason. So weird. So weird. Like I just saw the chat got disconnected and then it just on Google it just showed me like stream finished. Perfect. We're good. Okay. We got to get those viewer numbers back up. Right now it's only 10 people watching. Okay, so what's up, Karthik? This is Ranjit. Hey, Ranjit. Long time, man. How are you? It's been a very long time. We've missed you in our community. Definitely hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. What do you think about the market with dump or pump today? So again, we don't like to make predictions, but we're gonna be prepared either way. The most important thing is that we're still within the context of a downtrend, so lower highs and lower lows are still pretty valid. We're not out of the woods yet. If the markets gets rejected here, then we could be headed for another leg lower if those moving averages continue to act as a ceiling or a resistance there. We're thankful for good internet. There, I started the I love it. I love it. Dave, I really thought that you'd be thankful for having me in your life. Like that's what I thought it was gonna feel. Like, I'm just kidding. But no, but that's great. That's a great list. That's a good way to get started because I sure am thankful for having my internet back as well. Broadcom is ripping. Yep. So we covered that earlier along with Google. And get the likes back, yes. Any opinions on Meta? Is it a bull trap or a trend reversal? So Meta I really like Meta. I've been dollar cost averaging a little bit, not a lot, just 5 shares here and there. And so I think this is a good trend reversal. That's a nice reversal that's, on play here for Meta. Resistance, we've got a little bit of resistance coming up, roughly around 635, 637. So that's going to be that first level to watch, all the way up to 659, 660s. So it was incredibly oversold. So we're seeing a nice little bounce. Support level is going to stay at 580. If it gets down to sub 600, then we're going to be dollar cost averaging and buying more once again. Without internet, I don't have you. What do you mean? You don't have you? You don't have to just be an online connection. If you invite me to your fishing trips next time, I'm there. That looked pretty sick. That was awesome. When I was going through all the pictures, like you guys were catching like huge like fish. That was crazy. I've never been fishing, by the way, so I'm gonna be just as good as the bait that's out there. Absolutely useless, but I love the idea of going out in the middle of the ocean and just fishing. So I would love to do it. But yeah, that's great. It looked amazing. I love it. The live channel I love in our community because you get to see what people are up to other than just trading in stocks and investing, and that's what makes my time in the community even more special than it already is. So that's actually good that the stream got disconnected. I had to go away from the computer for a couple of minutes, so now I'm up to date. Perfect. That's great. HIMS picking up steam. Yep, so we covered earlier. We covered Iron. We covered HIMS. We covered a lot of these names earlier. So you'll have to go back to the other stream and watch the analysis there. But let's come over to Tesla as well. Tesla's been all over the place. It's been bouncing back and forth between 470 and 400. So we've been kind of consolidating sideways in that range. So that is going to be that resistance right now, around 467, 470, with a very strong support, down at 380s, all the way up to as much as 415, 400s, low 400s basically. So that's where we are. This channel is addictive to me. That's great, John. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thankful for all the love yesterday from the community. Thank you all. Yes, hope you had a great birthday, Mike. Was the ADP data bad or good? Did we get any ADP numbers? I don't think we did. I think tomorrow we've got the jobless claims. That's going to come out as scheduled. But we did get the retail sales. We got the PPI numbers, which we covered earlier. But I don't think we got any ADP numbers. Unemployment is also pushed out. It's not going to be coming out for the first Friday of the month of December, but it's going to be coming out on. It's going to be coming out on December 16th, so Tuesday. That's going to be for the month of November. But yeah, no, we didn't have any ADP numbers today, not that I know of. Okay, so private companies lost an average of about 13,500 jobs in a week over the past 4 weeks. ADP said as part of the running update, it has been providing. That's an acceleration from 2,500 jobs a week. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I mean, if you just look at all companies combined, right? If you just come over to the national unemployment rate and you just look at the actual data showing you the civilian unemployment, which is unemployed persons, this number has been pushing up, right? So if we just zoom in here, right now, as of September, we have 7.6 million people that are currently unemployed in the US. And if you compare this to September 2024, when we were at 6.9 million, right? So that is a substantial 700,000 more people that are now unemployed in the US in the last 1 year. So I think we did the math. That's like, I think came out to like 5,000 or 6,000 or something. That's 2,000 people per day that have lost jobs in the last 1 year in the US. So pretty substantial number. And look, that's one of the reasons why I think the Federal Reserve is leaning a lot more towards cutting interest rates. But as I've said before, and I'll make a point about this again, is that my opinion is that this has not a lot to do with where interest rates are and more to do with where AI is going, right? So with the fact that we have artificial intelligence and the rise of AI and the acceleration that we're seeing, what's really happening is a lot of companies are finding efficient ways to do a lot of cost cuts, right? You can have agentic AIs, you can have a lot of the work done by AI, and as a result, there is a big upgrade cycle that I think we as a workforce are going through, similar to what we went through back when the internet was launched and back when we had the computers. So everyone had to reprogram themselves on how to actually conduct work, and right now we're kind of going through something similar. So I'm not sure if interest rates and cutting interest rates is something that can actually fix the level of unemployment that could be there in, let's say, a year from now or 2 years from now when AI is rapidly, exponentially rising. I'm not sure if interest rate cuts can actually fix that. If anything, it could make things somewhat worse if the companies decide to use that cheaper capital to then further invest in their artificial intelligence initiatives. So yeah, those are things to, for us to also keep in mind, because technology can certainly change a lot of these older mandates, right? So when the Federal Reserve had this dual mandate, back when it was first established 50 years ago, the dual mandate was, okay, we want to control inflation. We want to make sure that prices are going up, but they're going up in a stable way. And then we also want to make sure that unemployment is low. And how do we do that? What tools do we have? We only have interest rates that we can actually control this with. So raise interest rates when inflation is going higher, lower interest rates when economy is getting worse. That's how we control those two things. But with the rise of technology, with artificial intelligence, those dated mandates become somewhat obsolete. So we have to kind of reprogram on how to actually create employment when technology is playing a big role in it. So yeah, hope AI help housing markets build homes by robotics. I think some of the blue collar trades are positions that are extremely safe with the rise of artificial intelligence, because agentic AI is kind of like the near future. AI computing is also like, in the near future. Robotics is something that is farther into the future, right? So it's not like we're going to get robots next year or the year after. We are going to get some exhibits. We're going to get some experimental robots, testing new things, as, Tesla's already doing with their robotics program. But in real world implementation and practical application, we're going to see like maybe 3 to 5 years out or more for it to be fully integrated into many different industries. So I think that's something that is going to be in very much high demand, is working with your hands. Things that you actually need to do physically with your hands are going to do well, in my view, I think. But you never know. I mean, technology is changing every day, so you just never know what is going to happen, you know? Pre-built or cast structures, kind of assembled homes will be the future. Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon's already doing that. I think you can actually buy a home on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. Buy a home on Amazon. Yeah, so I think they're already doing things like these that I've seen. I've seen YouTube videos about it where people have bought actual homes. See? You've got $10,000, right? So 45,000 dirhams, that's $10,000. You can actually buy a tiny home, foldable prefab container house. Of course, you'll have to connect electrical, plumbing, wiring, all that, but that has already been there. You can pretty much pick it up on Amazon. It's crazy for $10,000. Yeah, they're most like an additional dwelling unit. I agree. Obviously, they're not actual homes, but still, something to get by, basically. All right, so coming back to the markets and some individual stocks here. BMNR we covered earlier. SoFi, I think we did cover earlier, but let me just go over that very quickly. So bouncing off of that support, so very nice support in the $24, $25 range. Resistance all the way back up to $30. And SoFi also consolidated sideways in that range for quite some time, right? So we were essentially in this rectangular range until finally coming back down to that support. And so resistance now is going to be at $30 all the way up to $32. So those right there are going to be two levels to watch for SoFi. Yeah, electrician, plumbing, construction workers, 100%. Are you long on Palantir? Absolutely. Very long. Very, very long on Palantir. Mercado Libre, I think it also bounced, almost 3% back over $2,000 here. So Melli is also in a bit of a downtrend more recently on a broader weekly time frame, still on a very nice uptrend, so higher highs and higher lows, but starting to show signs of an early weakness here. So on the daily time frame, you can see the lower highs and the lower lows coming in for this. So that's the lower lows. And this right here is going to be the lower highs. So we're starting to get some weakness there on Mercado Libre. So next resistance is going to be 2150. Call it 2145, 2150. And a very strong support right about here at 1930, right? That's what we're bouncing off of inside this downtrend. Jeremy says, I would love to watch Optimus build a set of custom cabinets with natural hardwood. I know, right? When you buy Palantir at $8, you don't sell. Yeah, I mean, there's some companies, there's some stocks that you just kind of pass it on, to your children, to your grandchildren. Those become your legacy shares. If you've got some really low cost bases on some stocks, at that point you just want to get the actual certificate of ownership, like the actual ownership of shares certificate from from the exchange, and just frame it with your cost basis and just leave it, pass it on, because some positions are just worth framing. So all right, QQQ is down about 29-30 basis points right now. We got the S&P essentially flat. NVIDIA continues to bleed, down over 4.4. Volatility is sitting just over 20. Ethereum's just a little bit over 2,900. But Bitcoin sitting at just shy of $87,000 right now. We're seeing the S&P, of course, get a very nice move back higher yesterday. We'll see what rest of the week has in store for us. Hood and Bull. Let's just cover both of these. Hood also getting a nice little rebound, resistance all the way up to $120. So that's going to be that level. Got a very strong support down at $93, $94. And then coming over to bull here. Also pushing up after hitting a new all-time low. Resistance all the way up to as much as $945. And look, Robinhood eventually became a very successful, very profitable company after gaining a lot of market share in the US and now branching out to other parts of the world. Webull feels a lot like in the early stages of what Robinhood was, but for a completely different market as well. Yes, they're based out of Florida, but they do operate in many other countries where they offer these services. Of course, for people to be able to trade, invest in options, invest in stocks, so on and so forth. So it's a profitable business already. I mean, we're looking at around 23, 24% margin. It has potential. If revenues continue to grow quarter over quarter, year over year, it has potential to recover from this. 400 million in revenue and market cap sitting at 4 billion. So yes, it's trading at 10 times sales, and that's after it's dropped so much. So imagine how overvalued this thing was. I mean, it was trading at over 20 times sales at one point. So I think it was a most needed reality check for Webull for the valuation aspect. And I think now it's starting to stabilize a little bit here at $7 to $8 for Webull. So that's those are going to be my initial thoughts on this. Okay, quick rundown on the Moneyvest index. We did trade down to 3 and below 3. We were at 2.8 something on the S&P and much lower on the NASDAQ. So the S&P 500 got down to 2.8 exactly on November 20th, and then we bounced right back higher at 3.2. So again, keeping a close eye on this, and the NASDAQ 100 got down to, I think, 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, 2.68. And then we're seeing a nice little recovery back over 3 for this index as well. So you can see that it doesn't fluctuate very often, right? It doesn't move as much as any of the other indexes out there, and there's a reason for that. We want to only capture the real moves and not the small blips that keep happening. And so the only time this will get down to uncertainty or fear or panic is when there is actual uncertainty, fear, and panic, and not just a market whip moving sideways, and then we move from like extreme greed to extreme fear. So energy sector, what do you think about Vistra? We can take a look at this. VST got a market cap of about 59-60 billion here. It's been consolidating for the most part. It's trading at the same level as it was earlier in June. 0.5% dividend yield on longer time frames. I mean, this stock seems to be an incredible performer. Revenue year over year, it's been, energy stocks tend to be a lot more volatile, and revenues are also more seasonal, and you can't really have a very strong, predictable revenue growth or earnings growth for these businesses. But nonetheless, I mean, this seems like a very, very strong company here. I have to look more into it exactly in terms of fundamentals, but this is the overall technicals for VST. Higher highs, higher lows. You can even pull it down a bit more. It's coming down, and I would be watching this support right there, 143, 144 as an area of support right there. Okay, let's see. Xmas Santa rally or call for December? Thoughts on anyone? I think, obviously it's hard to predict, but September was, seasonally speaking, not a great month, but this year was amazing. November historically has been a very strong month, but this year was terrible so far, at least. So, no, it's kind of hard to say what we're gonna get. A Santa rally or call. Either way, I think we just have to be prepared and be excited about the markets and make decisions as, whatever the markets throw at us, just looking at the risk reward, looking at the market dynamics, and then just making decisions accordingly. So for today and for this week, the most important thing is, are we going to break outside of this downtrend? And are we going to break back above the 50 moving average? If the answer is yes, then I can confidently say that the confirmations are here. Santa is back. He's coming. And we could be back at all-time highs by December end. If we get rejected, if we are not able to break above that 50 moving average or that downtrend, we're not able to break outside of this, then I'm afraid Santa is going to bail on us this year in 2025. He may not care about us this year. So it might be a no-show. All right, so a couple more minutes. Volatility sitting just over 20 still. So still pretty elevated, I would say. This is anything under 17 is what I call like a muted VIX. Anything over 20 is still pretty elevated. And of course, anything over 29, 30, we're in the higher percentiles. We're getting up to over 90 and higher. Just a few days ago, we were at 75, 80 percentile. Now we're back down to 20. So what's your year-end S&P target? I have none. I have no S&P 500 target. It's a little bit of a different approach because we don't put down price targets, we put down fair values. So we're not predicting where the stock or the index will go. So we're not putting price targets, but we are putting fair values where we believe this stock or index is going to be a great deal, right? So there's a bit of a difference there. Because most of our analysis is built on a 12% discount rate plus an additional 10% margin of safety. So technically, once accounting for the margin of safety, you are getting a 14% return per year, right? So that's the CAGR that we shoot for. So if you take the fair value and you just apply a 14% rate of return, then you can technically get my price target. But I still kind of refrain myself from putting a price target. I just like, okay, this is my fair value. This is where I feel the stock is going to be a great deal. And if it's below it, then of course we're undervalued. It's even better. All right, markets are open for this Thanksgiving week. QQQs are slowing down a little bit, 35 basis points. Google is also giving back on some of those gains. Nvidia is also stable at just over 174, with S&P 500 essentially flat so far. And again, the real question is, are we going to break above the 50 SMA and this downtrend, or are we going to see that rejection? As right now, as you can see, the red candle just started popping in, and we're just cuddling right underneath that moving average and that lower high. Like it's nicely tucked in, the NASDAQ, perfectly tucked in, right in that corner. Same thing with the S&P 500, fighting up that 50 SMA. So we'll keep a close eye whether we break back above 67.15 or if you see some rejection here at those levels. So thank you so much for joining, everybody. Again, we are going to call it for today. Link's going to be down below if you're interested in joining. Don't forget, December 1st, our brand new version of the Moneyvest web and mobile is going to be available. We're going to launch it live during the live stream. And again, you can lock that rates in if you want to get access, 40% annual discount. And I've also started the Black Friday sale for all the courses. If you ever want to join the full course bundle, options trading, fundamental analysis, technical, psychology, everything is going to be 60 to 70% off with the link down below if you're interested in joining. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video. The blue line is going to be the 20 simple moving average. So that's a 20. Happy investing. I'll see you all.